I got a little project here, but it's basically nothing that I'm going to really videotape in its entirety, and I've already started it. On my table saw here that I've got at a yard sale a few years back, the rip fence had broken. Only this, what looks like plastic. It's either plastic or white metal, I don't know what it is, but it normally went right in here. It had broken right off here. So what I had done is I had filed off the stub, which was here, and it appears to be white metal, but anyways, I had drilled down through 3/8 inch hole. What I'm going to do is, if you look at that, there's a bolt that's going to go right through here. I made this up here out of flat stock that I got at Home Depot. So that flat stock fits right in inside here perfectly. And with assorted sizes of 3/8 inch bolts, because I wasn't sure how long they'd be, so I bought one of each. Some carriage and some regular bolts. Already made the bracket, bending it in the vise, with the vices inside the shed. So I had made this up already before I even got the camera out, because I wasn't going to really make a how-to video. Basically, if you ever get a table saw and you get something with this cheap plastic crap in here and it breaks, well, this is what you do. You get some stock, flat stock, and I put an angle on it. And, the reason for the angle going like that is simply to allow it to line up with the hole, which had to be made right here. So there'll be a carriage bolt or whatever I can fit in there, bolted, drop down through there, and then this rod, which would go through here, goes through the back of the rip fence, as you can see from the inside here. Goes through the back of the rip fence. I've made a hole right in here. So then, with this knob, it screws on, and what that rip fence, what this rod does, tightens up here, pulls in on it, and grabs here, and tightens it up. I'd rather have the old style where you just flip a lever down and tighten it that way. But I only paid $10 for the saw. Unfortunately, it's missing the Mirer-Gage. It never had a Mirer-Gage. This is not standard. It's made in Japan. Everything's crappy metric, of course. So I can't use my Mirer-Gage from my Craftsman table saw because it's too wide and it won't fit this groove here. So I don't have a Mirer-Gage for this saw, so I have to kind of freehand it. But when this broke, it made the saw almost useless. But we're going to get this thing going here very soon, so I'll stop recording now and show you as we go along here what else I have to do here. Well, it's not a real good job at all, I'll admit that, but we got a 3/8 inch bolt here, and of course we got the rod that's going to be coming out. In order to clear the nut, I had to put the bolt down and the nut underneath. As you can see, the nut is right here, and it's just up against this piece here so it doesn't spin. It's redneck and me. I never trust any of these rip fences anyways, and I always take a ruler and measure from here to the blade, or to be more accurate, from here to the edge of the table at these 2 points, because I don't care what saw I use, even my Craftsman. They're always off a fraction of an inch one way or the other. Now, once this rod that you see here gets pushed all the way in, out this hole here, that'll tighten it up and it won't do this. But there's only this one point here. The original plastic or white metal or whatever the hell it is. Being that it was screwed up into here, kept this thing rigid, because this is the rest of this plastic right here. But because I'm only in one point right here, there's going to be a little side-to-side movement. It's a poor man's repair. The rod in there. Now, as you can see, she's loose as a goose right here. Okay, but when I tighten this, she's rigid. Now, what I usually do is sight along these lines. You see, like the ridges that are in the table here. Now, obviously, that's out of place, so naturally, I'd loosen this up a little bit, tap it over, make sure I'm on the line, because I don't trust any of these things here. So I'm not worried about it. It's functionable, and when I loosen this like this, I can slide it down, see, and tighten it. And she's as tight as a bull's, you know what. So that's what we call a poor man's repair job. Why throw a good tool away when it can be fixed? If I can fix it, I will. It may not be a wonderful looking job, but it does work, and that's what counts. Work with what I had, you know, and it was kind of hard to drill through all this and get it to fit the way I want it, and bend in the bracket in and so forth. And I'll have to recheck this and see if this little gauge here has to be slid one way or the other. We'll work on that later. Now if I can find some stock to go in here to make my own Mirer-Gage, I'd be all set. Now, this is convenient because I can just take it and throw it out on the bench here and do my work. Here in the shed, I've got my old Craftsman 8-inch, which I've had for, I'm going to say 30 years. Now, see, this rip fence is made a lot better, but you see how they are when you loosen it? You never know exactly where you are. You could tighten it at this point and you're cocked, you know? So you always have to use a ruler on these things. Well, this is the Mirer-Gage for this. See? This is a 1/2 inch, this is American, good old American standard, not this metric crap. See? That fits right in there, but if I take this and go over to the Makita saw, right, the damn thing ain't gonna fit in. I don't have access to milling machines or anything that can mill this out to a 1/2 inch width and be all set. So what I need to do is to get some stock that will slide in there tightly, and then make my own Mirer-Gage. This happens to be a metal Mirer-Gage, not a plastic piece of crap like most of them make now. But I don't want to bring out that big saw with the legs and everything. It's loaded, you know, as you know, my shed is quite loaded, as you can see. So in order for me to get this outside to use it, well, look at the stuff I gotta move, you know? Now, but you know, I replaced this. I had to put a pulley on here because this had a plastic adjustment handle, which broke off many years ago. Now, you improvise. Well, thank you for watching.